Hey everybody, this is John with the Creature Teacher, and today we're going to be taking a look at some tropical little guys here. Kind of open this up, and we have two red-eye treefrogs. Right, they're in their kind of sleeping phase at the moment. When they do rest during the daytime, they kind of tuck themselves against leaves. Obviously, there's not really big leaves for them to sit on in here. What they do is they kind of sit on the sides of the tank and use their toe pads. You can see some toe pads right there. They're orange. Same thing on this side. And they just kind of sit there and they kind of relax during the day. Now, one cool thing about these frogs is you can kind of see what looks like, that's not its actual eye there, but it's kind of like a lens cover that is see-through, and it's camouflage. It breaks up what their eye looks like, and it's a little difficult to tell because of the lighting in here, but if you can make it out, it kind of looks like there's red underneath, and that is because of the frog's red eye. So I believe this one's a female. She's much larger. The girls are bigger. She's looking at me right now, but it looks like, it doesn't look like an eyeball. It looks anything like it, and that's to help break up the outline of their eyes. Now, since these are a tropical species, they do live in a tank's not that big. It could be a little bigger. Once all this pandemic stuff ends, we'll be upgrading their house size, give them a little larger house, a 15 or 20 gallon tank, and of course they get some nice tropical dirt, tropical soil, a bunch of moss to help retain water, and there's a water dish in there. It's not necessarily for them to drink out of, it's more for just to add humidity to the tank. There are some little leaves in it, not for them, but for the crickets, because they love to eat crickets. However, crickets can drown really easily, so it's important, any amphibian or reptile, whatever, if you're putting crickets in their tank and that animal has a water dish, make sure that either the water dish is high enough that crickets can't get into it, or just make sure that there's something in there for the crickets to walk out of on. Otherwise, they'll drown in the water real quick, and then they'll foul the water up real bad and make it pretty nasty. Now, all these crickets are pretty much alive. However, I do like to move the moss away just to make sure that there isn't any mold. When you do have pretty humid tanks, sometimes mold is growing on stuff. It doesn't look like it. And, of course, you want to look for any droppings. There aren't any. They're pretty obvious. Unfortunately, there's not any this time to show you guys. But since they pretty much have all their food available, and they haven't eaten anything, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mist it. Use my little sprayer here, use some filtered water, just kind of spray the moss down, real nice and well, kind of get them a little bit wet too. Just a little bit. Sometimes they open their eyes when I do this, and then, especially the big one, the girl, she likes to walk around after I spray the enclosure down. Now, one thing with amphibians is always important to do. Now, this hand does not have a glove on it, but this one does. Now, it is important if you have an amphibian, it's highly recommended to do this, especially with tree frogs, or if you get poison arrow frogs or dart frogs, whatever people want to call them, to have gloves. And that's just because amphibians, since they are an amphibian, their skin is very thin and it easily absorbs chemicals through it. So it's also important to make sure if you are going to spray them with water, or he's opened his eye. Show you real quick. See that bright red eye there? That's how they get their name, of course. Normally he doesn't wake up. It's kind of cool that he did. He's poking his little eyes out, saying hello. But anyways, it's important to make sure that the bottle has only ever been used for water, and of course you want to make sure that you do rinse it out before you start using it. If you can use filtered water, that's great. If you want to buy water, you can do that by distilled water from the store, or you can use Brita filters. There are some places that they just use water straight out of the tap. It really depends on what type of water you have coming out of your tap. If they use a lot of chlorine to clean it, you may want to avoid that. That's just because they can absorb chemicals pretty easily that can harm them. But it's really more important for your hands. Even if you wash your hands with soap, that soap will get on them, and it can make them sick, and it can kill them. You really should not handle them without gloves. And these frogs in general, if you do have these as a pet, they're not really much of a handling pet. When we take them to programs, we do generally show them. The big girl here, she'll sit on my hand, and she will pretty much stay still. This guy, he likes to jump a lot, so I need to make sure that... Oh, he's starting to move a little bit. See if we can show it. They have some very pretty... Oh, there you go. You moving around a little bit there, buddy? They have a very pretty yellow and blue on the sides of their body, especially along their legs. He's kind of keeping his legs tucked in at the moment. Another reason you want to wear gloves with these animals is in the event they jump, well, you're gonna have to pick them up. So having gloves on is real important for that. Camera lost focus there. These are fair, and with these animals, since they are tropical, if you don't have the ability to miss them every day, if you're busy, you don't work from home like I do, you'll want to get like a drip system. Also, whatever container you have them in, you can put plastic, like saran wrap, over the top of it to make sure the humidity stays in, because again, they need a pretty humid environment. Since I work from home, I can come out here at least once a day and give them a really good misting. At least once a day, you want to do that. And of course, you always want to check for mold around the tank, lift up the moss, etc. Look for mold underneath it. And other than that, these guys are fairly easy to care for. Lots of bugs for them to eat. They love to eat crickets. I don't give them superworms or mealworms just because they'll burrow into the dirt real quick, and then they don't get to eat them at all. So the crickets work best for these guys. I was hoping one of them would at least walk around a little bit. Are you going to move? You can kind of see that blue down there. So that blue on his leg right there. Oh, there we go. I think he wants to eat. Let's see if he'll eat something. Or you're just going to jump. Okay. Thought he might be hungry. I guess not. Anyways, these are our two red-eye treefrogs hopping around, getting ready for their nighttime. Since they are nocturnal, they do love to be up at night. Put this lid back on here, and the lid, of course, has a lot of these plastic leaves that I've attached onto it. I just kind of stuck it through the sides of the cage, and they just that gives them something to climb on and hang on to. They want to crawl around. Makes it a little bit more natural since they are living in a not wild habitat. Try to make it a little more natural for them. I usually like to just do one more spray to get all the leaves up top wet. That way, if they want to drink, they'll drink from that. And there we go. So those are our two red-eye treefrogs. Got to meet them today. You can see those orange feet right there really well. They do have sticky toe pads. I think I already said that. Anyways, thanks for watching. Feel free to like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. And of course, as always, check the Creature Teacher out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This has been John with the Creature Teacher. Hope you guys have a great day. Put these guys away. Say bye there, little buddy. Big ol' huge eye.